It is the activism that privileges the participation in community organizing of social change by people who identify as youth. And so we want to learn from a few guests who come from that category of youth activism, who have been practicing activism for gender equality. Please welcome with me the two guests who I'm going to introduce. They will stand here briefly, and then I will request the one to start with us to take off. Welcome with me Mr. Ronal Eligu. Ronal Eligu is the founder and executive director Activism. This is a community-based organization. It is based in Namongo, and Ronal is also an alumnus of Makerere University. He's doing wonderful work down there with the youth, and he will tell us what he is doing. The second person is Miss Elizabeth Atuheire, the founder and executive director, Your Help, which is written in full as You Have the Potential. Elizabeth is a feminist activist, a researcher, and she's also an alumnus of Makerere University. She graduated recently with the first class honors from our School of Women. So without wasting much of their time, we're going to learn from them. We will give each one of them 20 to 22 minutes. They have been given a number of questions to respond to. Start with Ronal, who will give us a few insights into what inspired him to go into this kind of activism. And we want to learn from him, what does his organization do? What do they advocate for? And how do you reach at an issue to advocate for? If you are students at Makerere, is it possible that you can identify an issue of inequality that you can advocate for? So we want to learn from you. So right away, I will request Ronal, please come over.
Thank you so much, Amon. Hello friends. Hi. I hope you're all good. Our Dean of Students, praise your presence. My lecturers, I'm happy that both of my lecturers are here. That is Dr. Amon and Dr. Daphne behind there. Thank you so much, Dr. Daphne, for being here today. This is amazing. I am so happy that I'm sharing with this class. First of all, I'm privileged to have been to the School of Women and Gender. At first, when I first joined this course and doing this, people were telling me, but how can you be at the School of Women and Gender and you were a man? The School of Women and Gender and you were a man. How many men are here? If you do that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see the number is very small. And just to tell you is that we need more men into this school because we are not going to work on gender equality if the men are still stepping away from issues that affecting women. Okay, so my name is Eligu, Ronal, and I am the founder and executive director for Touch the Slum. Touch the Slum is a community-based organization that works with teen moms, young adults, and of course, vulnerable teen girls from the slums around Kampala. We are glad that we are moving on from just being a CBO to one NGO, and this has been made possible by the efforts of young people. So I work with a lot of young people. I didn't come alone. I came with a team of 2 representing the rest. That is Angel Moni, the photographer, the only female photographer from our community. And then we also have Rita, our assistant. And she is also very good with graphics. So you see that in this space that has been more dominated by males, now we have women coming in to take up the space. And I'm so happy that today we are here to talk to you my experience with you. To begin with, many of us come from different communities. When we talk about different communities, I mean the people that come probably from the richer communities. Some people come from the middle class, some people come from, should I say, the lower class. But we all have challenges that cut across. And we all have responsibilities to take on as young Ugandans. And this is where this course unit is very vital to us. This is what makes us different from other students that graduate from the same course. Are you getting me? This is what makes us different from the students that graduate, other students that graduate from the same course. Because in the end, you are going to find out the challenges that are affecting young people, and then these are the key issues that we talk about when we are tackling gender equality, and you'll be forced to come out and speak about them. And that is what we are calling activism. When the audience is so silent like this, I don't know. Does it? Am I communicating? Yes. So, now to me, I'm going to share a little bit of my experience, and I have read through the questions, the guiding questions they gave me, and I'm sure that you're going to be able to get answers for these questions. One of the questions that I got was what social gender issue do you advocate for as an organization? Now, Touch the Slum is for the young people. And we are always in the community for the community. So we look out for the young people. Now, from the community that I come from, or the one that I grew up from, is one, when you look at the entire population, most of them are below the ages of 40. And then we have the biggest number being below 20 years. These are very young people. Now, when you also look at them, you see that the males in these communities, even without education, they are striving so much to make it out of the slums. But then the women, these are the young girls, without education, are still at the bottom of the social ladder in that community. What do I mean? Now, when I talk about being at the bottom of the social ladder, these girls are kept in homes, just like the boys. We are all at home, not going to school. But boys have always tried to look out for opportunities. And like me, I try to look out for opportunities. But then the girls, remember, they're supposed to do the housework. They're supposed to do the babysitting and all that, in addition to not going to school. And in the end, we boys are going to strive and go look out for some casual work. They will grow up at home, and what will happen? They only have one option. They apply for jobs and they just look at the background where they come from. It is easy for you not to be taken on. Or you'll have to give it something. In this case, I'm talking about your body now. So I felt like this is not the right way the community should go. So we looked at what do we need to come against first? Someone said poverty. The other said, let's deal with illiteracy. And then someone said teenage pregnancy. So we sat down and said, no. These are all three aspects of life in our community: poverty, uneducation, and teenage pregnancy, and they all form one cycle. How? You're an uneducated woman. God, your parents don't send you to school because they are poor. When you grow up, you're looking for means of survival, and the only means is maybe this Ronal who has some money and could take you as a wife. But before you know, you're pregnant and saying, it is not me. Then you're going back again to being a single mom who is not educated, who can also not send the child to school. So even your child is not going to be educated, and the cycle is going to. So we say, for us, we are going to tackle the issue of teenage pregnancy at the moment, but backing up these other two challenges. So as such, the Islam, our main emphasis is to eradicate poverty first, and also promote literacy. Now, when I talk about literacy, I don't talk about sending kids to school at the moment, but we're looking at what happens to the girl who is 15, who is 14, but they have never been even P1. So now we want to teach them how to read and write. Once you do that, then empower them with a skill, a vocational skill. Advocacy is very good, but these days they are questioning what happens after you've done advocacy. Yes, you might push for reforms. Last week we were in a meeting and we have planning to join a coalition that is pushing for university students to be able to do a bit of internship during their study. And some people are pushing for it, for you guys to be paid by the government when you do these practices. And very soon you're going to see it coming up. People are going to storm the social media and they are going to try and fight for you. But that is your responsibility also. The other question is what motivated you to join advocacy for gender equality? Friends, just like I said, my community has a lot of these issues that are happening. I will not stand back and watch young girls, just because they are not educated, trying to make it in life. I told one of my friends that I met a girl who was being given sanitary towels in exchange and she laughed. Yes. Friends, I give you a sanitary pad when you're in your periods. Once you're out, you have to pay for it. It is happening. Now, to me, I felt like we need to stand up. I started mobilizing young people, young girls, to stand up against these injustices in the community. And one, we started setting out examples of these people. We are not just doing it theoretically, but we are setting out examples. How? We are picking out champions from these communities, putting them to the forefront to speak for these young people. Sometimes when I speak about these issues, someone might think we are just trying to forge out things. But when we bring these young people to speak about these challenges, or when we bring students from Makerere to interact with these people, then they get to know. Dr. Amon, the team you sent me, they came through and went to the community together. I don't know if they gave you feedback, but some of them came back crying. Now I questioned them. You are supposed to be problem solvers. Do you know what social work means? For us, we find solutions. You either advocate for the solutions or you start doing it yourself. This is the true definition of being the change you want to see. Hello? Someone might be asking, what are some of the challenges that you face during this time? But before that, the achievements. What are the achievements that personally I feel proud of to have taken this to another level? One, my face has been seen at least so many times. The first time I did my first activism thing was in 2019 when I was in my first year. They called out for this challenge. It was a Live Your Dream challenge by UNFPA. And I said, with my first year experience now, I will go and I will stand before these people, speak about the challenges in my community, and then that will be a goal. I did it, and I didn't know that it was going to push me to this level. Because at first I was thinking I would just do advocacy, I would just do, actually I didn't know what I was doing first, but I wanted to push out for some changes in my community. Before I knew, my face was appearing in a new vision. Everywhere people were buying newspapers and they were saying, Ronal, we saw you buy this newspaper. That is also an achievement. You stand out of the crowd. You stand out of the crowd. When you go to Campus B, I think that is the most campus news platform. And you look for Eligu Ronal, you're going to find my articles there that speak about this issue that I was trying to advocate for. As a fresher from Makerere, now this is why I need to stand out. I represented Makerere when no one knew from Makerere. At UCU. Someone just told me there's an inter-university activism something here. We are calling for you. So a friend of mine in Chikoni, that was Obed the other time. I don't know if some of you know Obed. I was aspiring for a good presidency at that time. So he met me and was like, Ronal, there's a competition at UCU. They want a Makerere student to represent Makerere. And I was like, how do I start getting those admissions and all this and all that? I rushed out, I went there. Before I knew, newspapers came out. Now as an organization, we have managed to push this to the platforms, to different platforms. We have managed to bring out young people. Like Monica, I feel so proud of Monica. She's now one of those people, young people look at in our community. She has been able to do a lot of things and inspired a lot of young people. So what would I tell you, my friends? Is that if you see a challenge in our community, if you see any problems, any gender issue, you need to take part and voice it out and push for reforms and talk about them when you have platforms. Use your social media. Because this is the way you're going to stand out. All these people we admire, the Nakates, who knows Nakate? They started from universities. This is where you need to start from. And this is going to push you. When you stand out and you become vibrant, you will not look for jobs. Jobs will look for you. When I was in my first year, I wanted to partner with UN. And I didn't know how. Every time I applied for a internship, they revoked it. When I started activism, the other time Plan brought to me Plan International. And we are sealing off a partnership this week. But because they saw me online, they saw me speaking about these issues. And this is what makes you different. Now you guys have mobile phones. You don't wait to go out. I know you studied about these things in the ways of which you can do advocacy, platform through which you can do it. And me, I use my phone. You can push for change using what you have in your hands. You have your talents. You can speak. So, thank you so much, friends. Yes?
We talked about how many girls have been taken to schools, how many girls are graduating. I attended the graduation ceremony. Literacy basic skills, computer skills, reading and writing. Girls who come in, they don't know how to read and write, and they leave when they can read and write. How many teenage mothers have come to you and how many are you looking at? These are statistics, these are figures. You need to set yourself for that. So I think that when I visited Activism, I was very, very impressed by what they've done. And it's really impressing my community. So I think you should shed more light on that as well.
Yeah, since 2019, we have worked with several young mothers, and we have taken over 120 vulnerable teen girls and teen mothers through vocational skilling programs. And these include tailoring, hairdressing, photography. Monica was one of our first graduates. And we have taken people through video editing. The whole of our media group are females. Because this is what I'm trying to do to tackle out gender equality. this was a formerly male-dominated space, photography and videography. So now I'm trying to fix and put more ladies in that space also. But also, since we found out that there are lots of young girls that are not going to school in our community, we have taken a challenge to educate them and teach them how to read and write. And for the past few years, we have taken over 120 girls also through this similar program. And now they can read and write. First, looked after about 12 homeless teen mothers, right from pregnancy to some of them girls have now kids that are already school-going age. So we have taken them through our residential program, because when you're picking them out from the community, you're supposed to look after them fully. And we have taken them through a vocational skilling program. So you're staying at the residency, you have food, you have health care, now we have our own clinic, well equipped and registered. You go through a literacy program that teaches you how to read and write. After you learning how to read and write, then you choose a skill that you want to take on from the various skills that we have. After that, we give you a business training course that helps you start up a small business. And then we help you for 6 months to guide you on how to run this small business until you become independent. Then you can go and of course leave the opportunity for other girls. We have also been able to train other trainers, other young people that train other young people in different communities. And I'm happy to say that for this coming year, we are going to take on other divisions of Kampala also to do the same activities through the partnership that we're going to do with Live. So, to go back to your question, sir, the challenges that we faced, that I have faced personally, one of them is that many people don't believe in young people. I have tried talking about these things and so many people think these are lies. So you're going to face this if you're starting activism, if you're putting it into practice. People are going to abuse you. Females are meant to stay in the home. If there's a woman, if there's a girl and a boy in the home, you take the boy first to school. So those are some of the challenges. But of course, when I come back, we are going to speak about them. Thank you so much. My time is up.
Thank you so much, Ronal. Let's welcome Elizabeth.
Once again, good morning to all.
Good morning.
Yes, my name is Elizabeth Atuheire. I'm the founding director of UHEP Uganda, which stands for You Have the Potential. I'll not waste much of your time because most of the things, just like Ronal has said, they have been pointed out. Of course, I know that this is just a stamp and this is UHEP, but we look at almost the same thing. Yeah? So I'm going to take you through, depending on the questions that are given, to respond to. So today's guest lecture is basically on youth activism for gender equality. We shall be looking at translating theory into practice. Why are we looking at this? First of all, we are very young people. We are youth. We are products. And we are into this activism space, not because we just found ourselves there, but because of the background, because of the theory that we got from class, and because of other motivations. I'm supposed to share the achievements of feminist activism in Uganda. So I'll not specifically be looking at UHEP or Touch the Slum, but feminist activism here in Uganda. Then I'm also supposed to look at the challenges that the women's movements face and how this can be addressed to ensure gender equality. Once again, you're welcome to this listening. So my experience and motivation, I had never heard about the concept gender until I joined Makerere University, and specifically until I took up the course of gender studies. Yeah, so that is when I got to know what is gender actually. I started like during the classes, during the tutorials and other different platforms, I got so much interest in this concept gender because as used to the other concept sex, female and male. So when I joined, I started, my passion started from there, and I used to front the narrative of studying with purpose. Of course, when you have passion for something, or when you're interested in something, you study because you want to achieve something good out of that. You do not just come to class, sit down, listen to lecturers, move out. You come to class and have a purpose, and have something that you get out of that. So with a continuous encounter of various literature and tutorials on gender inequalities, of how women and girls are discriminated against in society, I discovered that everyone actually has a role to play in order for us to promote gender equality. So that is why I am actually in this youth activism space. Yes, and moreover, as a woman, yes, I'm a woman, I was always threatened with this existence of patriarchy. You know, when patriarchy is there, when girls are not going to school, this can actually have a spiral effect. You find that in the future, if we do not fight against these inequalities, my children might get affected because of this. If we do not fight against patriarchy, myself as a woman, I might also get affected because of such inequalities. So that was also one of the motivations as why I had to come in for the activism. So towards the end of my bachelor's degree, I just finished. I also just graduated this year in February. So last year when I was finishing in September, that is when I started this organization called You Have the Potential, because I felt that I should not put this theoretical knowledge that I attained from class to sleep. Remember, there are very many narratives around how you go to university. These days university is very useless. You go there, things are into practice. You go there and get that knowledge, but still, it will not be of great importance to you. So I really wanted to prove that wrong, and I wanted to put into use what I had attained from class. So that is the whole history. You have to be the change that you want to see, and you have to start right now. You have to start planning of where do I want to be from here. What do I want to do? If you do not plan, you go at home and sleep. So when you look at the achievements of feminist activism, just like I already told you, I'll be looking at feminist activism in general. I divided this depending on the different spheres, the education, politics, and so on, so that you're able to see. So when you're writing about achievements, for example, when you come to education, look at what has been achieved as a result of what? Of feminist activism. Who are those key actors? Because we have the women's movements in Uganda. And those are some of the things that I put there. I will not read through all of them because of time. But when you look at our education, we have affirmative action, we have female scholarships. All these things were actually not there before feminist activism was in place. But when you look at the history of feminist activism, all these things were not there. It is because of the women's movements in Uganda, because of that constitution looking at gender issues for women, that we now have some of these achievements here in the country. And it's not that they are limited to only this, there are many more, but I put just a few for you to see how you can write those. So some of the women's organizations, we have Girl Up Initiative Uganda, which basically looks at girl child education, making sure that girls are in school. We have Educate, which is also an organization that looks at education, skilling, and so on. So you will read about others. So when we come to politics, recently we have very many women occupying positions, top positions. Moreover, when you look at the Speaker of Uganda, the Speaker of Parliament, who is Anita Amon, she's a woman. And those are some of the, it's not that Anita Amon is, of course that is one woman among different women that we have, many women that we have in the country. But at least those people can be inspirations to the young women that would like to take up such spaces. So that is why we actually bring out such kinds of things, so that other people who would like to take up such spaces, they can be inspired. And then when we come to the social point of view, we have the fight against harmful practices like female genital mutilation. Yes, feminist activism organizations have really tried so hard to fight against such kinds of harmful practices, especially among the survey. We have reduction in GBV acts. If it was not for women's movements, we would still be having rampant cases of domestic violence, women being beaten, women being raped, but at least they are still there, though they are not as. And then we have ownership of property and land as a result of cultural norms. When you look back into those societies, way back, women were not like allowed to own some of these things, but because of women coming on board, women's movements coming on board, they are now able to own some of these things. And then you can look at some of the actors. We have Mwiine, we have Center for Domestic Violence Prevention, and others. Yes, so when we come to the economic point of view, many women are now engaging in agriculture. We have very many projects that are trying to empower women to come on board when it comes to agriculture. This is because the largest population, of course we know that agriculture is the backbone of Uganda's economy. And many women rely on agriculture. So that is why I'm saying that we have very many projects that are at least trying to empower women in this field so that they can economically be independent. And then we have financial literacy and improved decision making, and especially in markets, we have access to loans and others. You can see some of the key actors. Of course, this is the poverty point of view. We have Care International, we have Black Uganda, and others. Yes, so because of time, I just outlined the challenges. Okay, not the few, there are many more challenges. But some of the basic challenges that the feminist activism movements or the women's movements in Uganda are facing, we have inadequate resources or funds to run activities of the women's movements. Yes, of course, these activities, you cannot just get a camera from the street. You have to buy it with money. So some of the problems that we are facing is the inadequacy of funds. We have gaps between policy and practice. You find that some organizations, what is within their policies or what they're supposed to do is not what is actually being done. Why? It's not because maybe they don't want to do it, but you find that there are some oppositions and so on. So you find that the practical part is not corresponding to the policy that they have. And then we have the negative societal attitudes, especially the patriarchal societies. This is where, when we go to the communities, you find that some men are telling us that you feminists, you're the ones that are breaking our marriages. Yes, you're trying to empower women, you're trying to tell them to be independent, which is not the way they're supposed to do. So you find that we are getting some of those negative attitudes from the society. And then we have persistent, harmful, and discriminatory practices. Yes, I understand that feminist movements are fighting against these practices, but they are still there. Some societies have still continued to do this in a height, and they are still really practicing this against young girls and women. And then we have weak national laws that do not favor the feminist agenda. Here we shall look at, you find that maybe, let me look at gender-based violence. Maybe a case has been reported, a woman has been beaten at home, but you find it is not being given a lot of attention. Yes, and then we have underrepresentation of youth in different women platforms. Yes, youth are not really so much involved in these platforms, and that is why those are some of the gaps that myself and Ronal identified in order for us to come up and close those gaps where youth are not really into activism. And then for addressing the challenges, we have strong partnerships and collaborations with local and international organizations. Of course, this would help in terms of sharing ideas, in terms of helping. Maybe if this organization is working on the same issue, though we are partnering with Touch the Slum, that is a very good thing because it helps you to move a step forward together. We have strengthening protection networks for women human rights defenders. This is the scenario where I was telling you that we go to the communities and then they are telling us that we are breaking up marriages because of empowering women and so on. You might find that sometimes these young girls, they are trying to speak about being pregnant, and then this person that is in the sexual reproductive health rights space an old woman, and then they are fearing to say out this issue of pregnant. Why? Because sometimes we have interface with this, that told their stories. Sometimes you find that this old woman is abusing this young girl. Why did you get pregnant? You're still young. Did you tell your mother? Did you find that such kinds of things? So that is why we actually need more youth on board to work hand in hand with the others, with the other experts in the field, in order for us to promote gender equality. Thank you so much.
If you have any question, what you have written down there, please put up your hand. When you have gathered enough questions, we can request you to respond. So you're free to take notes of the questions that are raised.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, you can start.
Practical way do you think that men can be incorporated into these studies? Also, as a man in advocacy, what do you think it takes to bring the men on board in the advocacy field, now just not in the studies, that, oh, we are out there and we are going to work together with the women to do this? And then I have a question for the both of you as partakers of religion. So every time in our gender class, I have not had anybody that I've encountered in advocacy tell me that there is a way that they are incorporating religion to promote equality, because all I hear is that, oh, it is religion that is one of the agents of this gender inequality. It is not doing this and that, and it's forcing women to stay in their homes and do all these things. Is there any way that religion can be used to champion our cause as feminists and as people in advocacy? Because we have to find a way of incorporating this issue to make it an opportunity. So is there any way that you can incorporate religion in our activities and in advocacy? Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Akram. My question is Elizabeth. Thank you so much for this insightful moment. I'm asking you, as your help, how do you do your advocacy? What are the key areas of focus, and how do you champion your activism, advocacy, and campaign? Thank you so much.
I'm going to ask Darek about the vocational skills. There are some organizations that give the vocational skills, maybe tailoring. After training, of course, they graduate and they give them maybe the tailoring machines and the materials. I want to know whether you guys also give your beneficiaries those tools that can support the women and they continue to fight against the inequalities that they go through. And then, when we talk about GBV, of course it's there. We cannot deny the fact that it's not there. Do you guys have where to counsel those victims, those survivors of GBV? Let's say the women and girls friendly space. Do you have it? Whereby maybe a girl might have gone through GBV and you want to help the girl to maybe give her social support, something like that. Thank you.
My name is Ronal. When I would love to critique Islam small, because when he took us through his statistics, it was mainly girl child, yes, which is of course feminist advocacy, yes, I understand that. But I want to take you in a scenario that currently when you look at some of the statistics right now in Uganda, you realize that there are also young fathers, not just young mothers. So where I come from in Karamoja, you realize that the boys are victims of their own sexuality. So as a feminist scholar or activist, what do you think is the best way to tackle the young fathers instead of just focusing on the young mothers? Yes, I get they are more victimized because they have to spend half of their year carrying a child and breastfeeding and all that. Yes, but we also have a boy child who doesn't realize that he left someone pregnant and is going to do the next thing after and after. So that is what I want to say.
All right. The first question was directed to me. As a man, what practical ways can men take part in this? We are working on this to bring in, now this is combined with how we are bringing in boys. This question that says, other practices or problems, young fathers. Now, as an organization, we are growing. It's not that we have this chunk of money. So we are trying our best to involve the men in our talks. We have Friday sessions for the men that happen so that we talk about these things to the young people. We realize that community dialogues with the men and the church leaders are still happening, but we are not realizing the exact results that we want. We are continuing to do community dialogues with these groups of people. But now we are looking at the young men that we can groom now to be able to be responsible citizens in our community. When we do this, we are going to stop these issues of gender-based violence, sexual, and all that. Because there's a lot of challenges when it comes to advocacy now when men are supposed to participate. So we are trying to bring in the males also in our programs. It's not that we don't have men in our vocational skills. We have them. Only that the men choose different. Now we have a lot of, a class of about 12 that only has men in photography and video editing. Because they choose this. But it's not that we are not working with them. We are only working with young girls because they are at the bottom of the social ladder to be able to do what? To take them as a priority. Now, you asked about how broad do we go. With the funds that we have, we want to give more to one particular person so that we realize the impact. That's how we have managed to train them, give them a skill, take them through a business class, and help them start businesses, help them get where to stay for 6 months so that they go into independent, becoming independent like people. So it's not that we are just training and letting them go. No, we take them through a thorough process that takes not just 1, 2, 3 years. I said we have girls who came when they were pregnant and they left with their babies in 3 years. So it's not that we just train and let them go. We take them through a thorough process. So what has led to the collapse of so many young organizations is that they want to try and do a lot with little. For us, we do little with a lot of resources to make sure that we are realizing our goal. Because when you go to these trainings, like now, there's different organizations that are doing trainings. They give people, they train a lot of people, but in the end, you cannot trace for the impact. So thank you so much. Let's continue the just online. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the questions. I know we are time bad and would have loved to have a big conversation together. So I'm going to respond to a few questions about the parents, because she talked about some parents maybe resisting us using their children in terms of trainings and teaching them on sexual reproductive health rights. So before we can go to the children, we first talk to the parents. Yes, we first talk to the parents so that we come to an agreement of having their young ones. And then also the other question that I'll respond to is how do we handle immediate problems? Yes, I know that immediate problems are very many. I don't know which immediate problems you are specifically looking at, but for example, if it is a rape case, if it is rape, of course this is also under sexual reproductive health rights, we definitely take this young girl to a hospital for those services that they do to the child. If it is maybe another case that needs police and so on, we help them to take them to these policy actors. And then what we can do in our capacities, we do that. And then one thing that I want to leave you with is that you should not wait to change lives of 1,000 people, but you rather start with a few that you can start with, depending on the capacity that you have. It's not that we are it's not that we have big numbers, but what we can do, we use it to help the few people that we are able to help. Thank you.
Thank you so much.